It's not about adding incentives. It's really about removing barriers to entry. It's not about adding incentives. It's really about removing the barriers of entry. I was listening to this conversation with one of the fathers of behavioral economics, Richard Thaler, and he really kind of highlights this whole notion of removing the barriers to entry. Removing the friction is what's necessary to get adoption into something. And if you pay attention to a lot of the things that are created currently in the world, it really is focused on removing the friction on the front end to get you started. That's why the opt-in on a lot of platforms and a lot of, apps and things that you utilize, the opt-in is super easy, right? Because if they remove the friction, if they remove the barrier to entry, if they make it as easy as possible, there's more likelihood of your adoption or your use than simply saying, if you do these things, I have a carrot dangling on the other end for you. See, that's the whole premise of removing the barriers to entry. And I think as a creator or as creators or as creatives, we need to be mindful of that. Is the thing that you're creating easy to access? And if not, how are you figuring out ways to make it easier for folks to access? Because that, in essence, will determine whether or not people take advantage of whatever it is you're offering. Is it easy for them to access? And that plays both ways. I'm gonna listen to Richard Thaler's scenario here, and then we'll come back and discuss it a little bit.
You want people to do more of that. Why are you making it hard for them to do it? I mean, right? That's the answer. But where I was going with that was the same principles can be used to harm people. So if you go into a casino, the whole casino has been designed to get people to bet as much as possible and to bet on things that
have the worst possible outcomes.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we have online gambling and we have places like Robinhood that have made investing feel a lot like casino gambling.
Yeah, they gamified it.
Yeah. They're making it easy, right? They've made it easy to bet. It used to be you had to go find a bookie. Now you open your phone and you can bet on the game that you're watching, and that's very tempting. So
the thing is, and he gave the example of gambling in the casino, or when it first started, where you had to have a bookie, right? You had to know a bookie and go through that process. To then it became the casino model, where you had to actually go to a place that had casinos. To now, if you're in a state that allows online gambling, it's so easy because you can now do so from your phone anywhere. And so again, that's the whole notion of removing the friction, removing the barriers to entry to get more adoption. But the same thing applies on the flip side. If there's something that you want to stop doing, really make it harder for you to get to that thing. If you want to stop eating a certain thing, make it hard for you to get access to that thing that you want to stop eating, right? It goes both sides. I believe it was Myron Golden that I heard say, if it's a principle, it's like a slice of bread. And for it to be a principle, that means if one side's true, the other side has to be true as well. There's two sides to a principle, right? Like a slice of bread. And it's interesting. So if the good stuff is true, that means the bad stuff is true. So therefore, if you want to, incentivize good behavior, remove the barriers of entry or remove the friction for those to go and follow good behaviors. If you want to incentivize or add incentive to people doing bad behaviors, you make it easy. And it's interesting in that he used the gambling example, because if you pay attention to sports, just about every major advertiser on sports right now is probably some gambling app, some gambling app or some gambling, application or gambling platform for online gambling or for mobile, gambling. And it's fascinating because I guess if you're just playing and it's entertainment and it's not using a lot of money or not using, dedicated resources to it, maybe it's not a big deal, but there's a lot of people that have issues with gambling. And by creating minimal friction and reducing the barrier to entry for them to gamble, you now open up this Pandora's box. And you start to see the downside effects. Like every gambling ad that comes across the television, there's always that disclaimer. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLERS or whatever the number is. But the whole point of it is they're removing the friction. They're removing the barriers to entry. Therefore, you're ramping up and having more mass adoption. It's not the incentive. It's not the opportunity to win. It's the ease of getting in. It's not the opportunity to win. It's the ease of getting in that more so will direct more usage of a particular thing. So I think these are things, again, as a creative, as a creator, to think about as you create things. If you want more people to consume it, how easy is it for them to access? If you want to restrict the consumption of something, how many barriers are you putting in place? How much friction are you adding? Meaning, how many hoops do people have to jump through to access said thing? And but it's also kind of an interesting perspective, and this is maybe ethical or moral, depending on where you stand. When you see something that has potential harm that is made very easy to access, that then makes me question the intent of the people or the entities creating said thing. If you know something has negative consequences or, negative results or can cause harm and is very easy to access, I want to really uncover the intent of the people or the entities that are actually promoting said thing, because that might let you know that somebody does not have noble intent. They're just simply trying to make money. And again, making money is dope, right? Making money is cool, it's awesome, but we have to think about the why behind it, but then also think about what damage is being done. There's a concept called a Pyrrhic victory, right? Pyrrhic, and a Pyrrhic victory in essence is a victory in which the casualties along the way or the losses along the way basically cancel out the victory. So at the end of the day, was it even worth it? It's interesting, right? But anyway, this was some really good wisdom, I thought, and hopefully it's some little things you can throw into your mindset so that you can further understand how people move, but then also better ways for you to move as you traverse this thing called life. As always, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. Give this thing a like and a share. And until next time, I'll holler at you. Peace.